Recording in progress.
Good morning. Greetings from NCERT, New Delhi. Today, as we mark the World Mental Health Day, MANODARPAN, an initiative of the Ministry of Education under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, is organizing a two-day conference on October 10th, today and tomorrow, in a blended mode titled Mental Health and Wellbeing in Schools and the Role of School Administrators. We welcome all our esteemed guests, our chief guest, Additional Secretary Changson Ma'am from the Ministry of Education, our Director NCERT, our Joint Director NCERT, Principal from RI Bhopal, who is jointly hosting this conference along with the MANODARPAN cell. Just to update all our viewers on this conference, we would like to bring to your notice that this conference is being streamed live on NCERT official YouTube channel. The participants who are joining this conference are joining in a blended mode with physical participation at RI Bhopal and online participation. We here are joined by our in charge MANODARPAN cell, Professor Anjum Sibia, our head Department of Educational Psychology, Professor Prabhat Kumar Mishra ji, and the faculty of the department. Our Joint Director NCERT is also here to guide and take this initiative forward. Today, as we celebrate the Mental Health Day, we commemorate the importance of mental health and well-being, especially for our school children, and taking into account the eminent role played by all school administrators in taking the initiatives and building a positive school climate, this conference has been conceptualized. To begin with, I would like to invite Professor Jaydeep Mandal, Principal RI Bhopal, to please welcome our chief guest and other esteemed guests of the conference. RI Bhopal, the mic needs to be unmuted. We can't hear Principal Sir speak. Thank you.
Audible, man? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
Yeah. So, good morning to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest, Mrs. LS Sanction, Additional Secretary, Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education. Honorable Director of NCERT, Professor Dinesh Prasad Shaklani, sir. Professor Anjum Sivia, in charge MANODARPAN Cell. Keynote speaker, invited speakers, our Joint Director, Professor Sridhar Srivastava, sir, Joint Director NCERT. We are assembled all of you to this 2-day seminar, and all of us, know that the students are the backbone of our society. And this particular seminar will help us to understand how to strengthen this backbone of the society. All the teachers are taking this initiative forward. Now, on this occasion, I extend a hearty welcome to our chief guest, Ms. L.S. Sanction, Ma'am, Additional Secretary of Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of India, Ministry of Education, Government of India. And I also hearty welcome to our Honorable Director, Professor Dinesh Prasad Shaklani, sir, all the heads of the NCERT, all the heads of the departments of RA Bhopal, keynote speakers, Professor Shekhar Sheshadri, the Senior Professor, Department of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, Nimhans, and Advisor Sambad. And also I extend hearty welcome to our invited guests, Dr. Nidhi Pandey, Commissioner, Kendra Vidyalaya Sangatan, and Shri Ganendra Kumar, Joint Commissioner, Academics, Navodaya Vidyalaya Sangatan. And I do extend hearty welcome to our Joint Director, Professor Sridhar Srivastava, sir, Joint Director NCERT. I also take this opportunity to extend hearty welcome to all the principals of KBS and the NDAs, all the state schools across the country. And I do welcome all the delegates and the participants who are connected with this, connected online or offline, this blended mode to this August gathering. Once again, I extend hearty welcome to all the dignitaries, all the participants to this August 2 days national conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now request Professor Anjum Sibia, in charge MANODARPAN Cell and Dean Academic NCERT, to talk about the conference.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. Good morning and namaskar to everybody. I join hands with Principal R.A. Bhopal in extending a warm welcome to our Additional Secretary, who's also the chairperson of MANODARPAN initiative, which is the initiative of Ministry of Education. Also to our director, who unfortunately could not join us, but we have Dr. Sridhar Srivastava, our joint director, with us today in this conference. I also welcome the principals, the heads of the departments, the deans, and JDCIT to this conference. It's also heartening to share that we have about 2,000 school administrators who have got registered on for this conference, And since this is being streamed live, we have a lot of participation live also at present. We have about 50 plus participants out there in Bhopal in the PSS CIV auditorium, and around the same number we have joined on the Zoom link. So it is really heartening to have this august audience for the national conference. No, today is the World Mental Health Day, and it is this day which brings forth the realization that mental health and well-being is very important in our lives. And the same has been reiterated, has been emphasized time and again in the national policy on education in various chapters at various places. The emphasis on psychosocial aspects of child's development and learning is something which has been highlighted, stressed upon, emphasized in the policy all through. And it is this which brings to light the importance of those aspects of learning, those aspects of child's development, which all along had been, sort of neglected, us to giving a lot of importance to the cognitive aspects. So it is heartening, and from a psychological point of view, where the MANODARPAN cell is located, the department really feels that this is the time, when these aspects, if they get importance in child's life, the development of certain qualities, certain characteristics, certain behaviors is going to go a long way in making the child initiative-taking person, a person who owns up responsibility, a person who deals with unexpected challenges, and is one who's very resourceful. So we feel that policy has actually paved the way for the school system and for the people working in the school system to give due importance and to place the mental health and well-being aspects within the purview of the school system and the teaching learning. To take this forward, the policy also talks about holistic progress card, the 360-degree assessment, which is also supporting the development and taking forward the psychosocial aspects of learning and development for all our children in the school system. The importance to mental health actually got highlighted more so when the pandemic started. And it is during this time the ministry took an initiative known as MANODARPAN. We all are aware, we all have been part of this in various ways. The initiative was taken by the ministry to provide a kind of support to all the stakeholders, whether they were children, whether they were teachers, whether they were parents, families. So it was this initiative which was, providing a lot of support all through the COVID times. And as it says that it is going to provide mental health and well-being support, psychosocial support during COVID and beyond. So even though we see the pandemic almost coming to an end, but the support from MANODARPAN is continuing and will continue. And this initiative, like I've mentioned earlier, is headed by, under the guidance of our Additional Secretary, Chairperson Ma'am Changson. And under her guidance, the various kinds of activities are taken, and a number of activities have been held over the years. And I would very, very briefly talk about the activities before we go on to what we're going to do in the next 2 days. Some of the very significant activities have been the national toll-free helpline number. Now, these were the services which were offered to the children and their families and to teachers. And with the help of our CIT, that is the Central Institute of Educational Technology, we have been offering the helpline services through IVRS, and they are continuing on this. We have about 350 counselors, trained counselors who are part of this, and they're providing their services. The next major initiative in this are the live interactive sessions. It was felt pertinent that, the school system stakeholders, they be sensitized on various aspects of the mental health. So live interactive sessions have been held right from the beginning of the pandemic, which are called Sahyog, and these are telecast through PM eVidya channels and NCERT official YouTube channel. We also have been holding webinars, Paricharcha, which are held every Friday and are also telecast on PM eVidya channels. Of course, to support our teachers and the school systems, to get support from our counselors, our directory of counselors, an online directory is there on the MANODARPAN webpage of the ministry. This is for easy access to get in touch with counselors across the country. Many such activities have been taking place, and we have a very active MANODARPAN cell with its members across all RIs. We also have a working group who keeps taking initiatives of various kinds, these kind of webinars and development of material. And two such very significant activities in recent times has been a mental health survey, which almost covered 3,80,000 students across different types of schools, and the findings were released by the ministry very recently. And the other was a modular handbook on early identification of mental health problems. So two very significant activities have been taken up by the MANODARPAN to support the school system. Now, besides this particular initiative, the national conference is another such step towards strengthening the implementation of what the policy says about mental health, about the psychosocial aspects. And this conference is one such step to sensitize the school administrators, because they are at the helm of affairs in the schools, and the kind of atmosphere which is created, the kind of environment which is created actually permeates down to each and every aspects of the school's functioning. So keeping in view that a whole school approach is necessary for mental health and well-being to get positioned in the school system, it becomes very important that the administrators who are taking forward the various activities, they get sensitized to the concerns, issues, and challenges of mental health and well-being. So keeping this in view and keeping this in mind, this conference has been conceptualized. And like I said, the main aim is to orient and sensitize them about the mental health concerns, and to see them as mental health leaders of the school. So with this objective, the conference is being held, and as I have mentioned earlier, we have a huge participation from Kendriya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, CBSE, and state schools, and 2,000 plus administrators are part of this for the next 2 days. And we have got eminent speakers and panel discussions which are going to take place in the next 2 days. I'll just take you through very briefly through the program and the themes. So the first day, that is today, we would start building a perspective, an Indian perspective on mental health and well-being. And in this, we'll have, partnerships in sense, we have our speakers from CBSE, from NIPA, and from NCERT. Then we have a session on, handling the challenges and the barriers in the implementation of mental health and well-being. And in this, we have people who have been working in the area, and those people who have been contributing to the area of mental health and well-being. We have people who have been part of the NCF and those who are part of the working group. The next session would deal with the mental health issues of students, the prevention and interventions. We have people from Navodaya Vidyalaya. We have people from United Nations of Drugs and Crime Office here in Delhi who would be sharing their experiences besides the NCERT faculty across the RIs. The next theme is on promoting a conducive environment for holistic development. In this, we have people who are working in school and mental health program. We have NVS, and we have people who are working in teacher education from Bangalore. We also will be having a school administrator to share her experiences in this. The next theme is on partnerships, for mental health between teachers, parents, and school staff. In this, we are joined by people who have worked in the area from SCRT Sikkim. We have people who have been part of the position paper on mental health, contributing towards the preparation of NCF, and we have school administrators, and we have a working group member and faculty from NIPA. The next theme is on role of school administrators as agents of change in promoting mental health and well-being in school. And we have SCRT director in this. We have assistant commissioner from Kendriya Vidyalaya and deputy commissioner of Navodaya Vidyalaya, along with the RIN department faculty. The conference would also talk about, how it is fulfilling the aim of the policy, that is the new education policy. And we have joint commissioner from KVS as part of this, and academicians and teacher counselors across the country who are going to be discussing and having a panel discussion. The concluding session, the last session, would actually be a session where we come out with strategies on how to take forward the 2 days discussions, the 2 days deliberations, how to take it forward. And we are really looking forward to, in terms of, coming out with some kind of a guideline, some kind of a material for schools. And I'm hoping that we would be able to, have these discussions in the last session. So with this, I've given a broad overview of how the conference is going to be held, what are the themes which are going to be touched upon. And with this, I thank everybody for a patient listening, and I welcome you all again to the conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we move forward, just a little correction on my part. The live streaming of this conference is being done at NCERT Event YouTube channel and not on NCERT Official. My apologies for the confusion. Now, may I please request our Joint Director, Professor Sridhar Srivastavji, to please deliver the opening address.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shukla. A very good morning to you all. Honorable Director NCERT, who is busy in in an inevitable commitment elsewhere, so I have got a chance to step in to his role. Honorable Additional Secretary L.S. Changsen Ji, Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education. Honorable Professor Sheshadri Ji Nimhans, who has been academically guiding us in many matters at NCERT level. Madam Nidhi Pandey Ji, Commissioner KVS. Sri Vinayak Garg Ji, Commissioner NVS. Professor Anjum Sibia, Dean Academic, NCERT. Professor Mandal, Principal RI Bhopal, Head Department of Education in Psychological Foundation in Education, Professor Mishra. Other delegates and participants from different institutions, organizations, students, and other faculty from different constituents of NCERT and others who are present here in this room. I welcome you all to this occasion on this World Mental Health Day. In fact, about the program, what we just listened to from Professor Sibia, Dean Academic, and coordinator of this whole events and activities, her leadership has shown many things coming in reference to the mental health of children. And the occasion is good in the sense that we are just assembling to discuss on some issues. But we all know that mental health issues are a reality with our schools, because we are able to see the changes which is taking place within school as a learning space and in the society also. And you know that this burden or this mental health issues in the schools, what we are talking about, we know many reasons for that. You know that the burden of bag is also talked about as a stress to children. But very recently, when we saw the pandemic, that has given a all new dimension to these discussions and these issues. The pandemic, which not only caused an issue of health on the society, rather livelihood also. So it was not only a matter of life, but also livelihood. And that has impacted to children also. Things or unpleasant event happening in the family that has caused different stress among children, not being able to going to school, and disruption in the normal life that caused a lot of stress on children. As institution under the aegis of ministry, and I just want to take the name of Madam Chang Sanji, Additional Secretary, that NCERT came out with a lot of initiatives, what just Professor Sibia was mentioning. And these initiatives were really, I would say, a sigh of relief to children, because the initiative was to be rolled out online. So the Sahyog and MANODARPAN, these platforms offered children a lot of solutions for their issues. But we all know that these were the initiative which were taken up immediately after the pandemic. But this kind of deliberation and discussion was required, because now we as an institution, we are involved into enacting national curriculum framework. And as you just came to know that the mental health survey, which was conducted, and we could get the opinion of about little less than 4 lakhs, which was sometime 3.79 lakhs students. So we need to deliberate on the points that is emerging through that survey. And we feel that the curriculum should give space, proper space to the concern of mental health, because we feel, as the policy says also, that we have to develop the not only intellectual and academic capacity of children, rather the aesthetic, social, physical, mental, and most importantly, emotional capacity of the children. So we have to think in that manner. Friends, we know that we are living in a situation where a kind of dichotomy is there. If I can personally state it in my own words, there is a situation where avenues are there, but a sense of threat is there also in the mind of young children. We are living in a situation where a lot of aspirations are there in the mind of children, but at the same time, there is lack of endurance also among the children, which is normally felt around ourselves when we get the chance to move in country or visit to schools belonging to different management, like government school managed by government, state government, or private schools, or even schools in the rural area. We feel that children should be able to know about how to handle the stress and other issues. And in the curriculum also, we feel that uh, the topics or the points which give children some idea about handling mental stress or emotional stress should be given to each and every child. So I can say that why not, if we consider the issues of mental health or the techniques of handling mental stress as a core essential also, because the policy says that we should reduce the content load, and we should identify core essentials to be given to children. And a lot of pedagogical and curricular reform is posited there in the policy, but at the same time, we need to handle and take care of these issues also. So these are certain points that I wanted to just place before you all. And this occasion of today is really giving NCERT a chance to know what is there happening around in the school education ecosystem, and what is the views of different kind of stakeholders. We have persons from international bodies, we have persons who are the practitioner psychiatrists, we have persons who are there handling such issues by virtue of being in responsible positions at national level bodies and institutions. So NCERT will be very much careful in listening to and noting down the deliberations. So with these words, I would not take much time, and we have to listen many experiences of other speakers in this session. I welcome you all again to this 2 days conference, and I look forward to be benefited as an institution from these 2 days celebrations. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I now request Changson ma'am, our chief guest and also the chairperson of MANODARPAN, who is Additional Secretary Institutions at the Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Ma'am.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to all of you who have joined online or in person to this important 2-day conference, national conference on mental health and well-being in schools, and especially with a focus on school administrators. Professor Sridhar Srivastav, Joint Director, NCERT, Dr. Amrendra Bhera, Joint Director, CIET, NCERT, Professor Anjum Sibia, in charge MANODARPAN and Dean Academic NCERT, and today's keynote speaker, Professor Shekhar Sheshadri, psychiatrist of NIMHANS, Bangalore, and KVS Commissioner Nidhi Pandey, Madam, and so many other eminent educationists from different universities and different institutions all over the country, and principals of schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas, Navodaya Vidyalayas, and many other CBSE schools, and teachers and participants from SCRTs and all others who have joined us today. Very warm welcome to all of you from my side too. As from MANODARPAN and the Ministry of Education. I just want to begin this today's address with one question to all. How was your morning? Did you have any kind of stress, or do you feel that you were completely stress-free? I don't think anybody in the audience would say, any single person would say that it was a completely stress-free morning. I was not at all stressed. Actually, stress is a part and parcel of every person's daily life, isn't it? It's only when it becomes unmanageable and it starts affecting our daily life, then it starts taking a toll on our mental and emotional and sometimes even physical health. We are having this session on mental health and well-being in schools. But I'm sure that all of us understand first health. When we talk about health in general, we often refer to physical health, and then which we generally understand as being free from any kind of illness or injury, having a good healthy lifestyle, a good nutritious balanced diet and such. And social health, where we are able to get along with others in society and being a productive part of society. Emotional health, when we are able to deal with our feelings, our own emotions, and then of course mental health, where you're able to cope with the daily stresses of life and still be a productive part of society. It's very important to have these key concept of health in the background when we talk about mental health and well-being, and of course when we come to the psychosocial part of this important area. As the speakers before me, Professor Sridhar, Professor Sibia, have very eloquently highlighted, this whole approach, MANODARPAN initiative started during the pandemic, no doubt. But at that very time also, it was meant to be an initiative which goes beyond the pandemic. And I'm truly thankful to the entire MANODARPAN working group, the entire team, members who are here today, who are not, and of course the MANODARPAN cell at NCERT, who have taken this whole leap forward and moving on from an online or telephonic presence, we are now coming out from immediate solutions to long-term and institutional systemic changes which we need to bring into the school environment. Today's this conference, today and tomorrow, one important aspect is that you are looking to bring out a kind of a handbook, a ready reference, a manual to ensure that mental health and well-being is given priority in the school, where we can sensitize the school administrators and the school spaces, all the people who are involved in it. And this kind of framework is, in fact, at the very outset of MANODARPAN itself, in the road ahead. It is one thing which we had looked at, that we should be having a common minimum program, some kind of framework to be implemented in schools as far as mental health part is concerned. Yeah, Dr. Sibia, Professor Sibia had said, yes, a lot of importance has been given to the cognitive aspects of learning. But now I think it is high time, the world over, not just here in India, not just in a few selected schools, but the world over, mental health and well-being, emotional well-being of students, especially even young kids to adolescents, has become of great importance. And following the pandemic, I think everywhere, if you ask the practitioners, the counselors, psychiatrists, counseling psychologists, if you ask, I think this has, while the mental health issues have increased amongst the general population, it has especially also touched the younger ones, the students, and the young adults, and it's left them with a lot of sense of feeling lost and helpless. And this is the need of the hour. I truly believe that this is the need of the hour, when all school managements have to come forward and agree, first of all, that we need to look at this in a systemic way and in an institutionalized way, and not just something we remember on World Mental Health Day, suddenly in October, and then the rest of the year we forget about it. So this is the very first step, and I want to bring out and highlight that. As also mentioned by earlier speakers, our new national education policy has also emphasized on holistic development, which includes mental health and emotional well-being. And a lot of that, yes, in the curriculum part also, this we are hoping that this will be taken care of, because even I just want to refer to the mental health survey which was mentioned earlier. The greatest stressor, the thing which students all across the board, across all categories said, which gives them most amount of anxiety and stress, is that of exams. And they, at the same time, felt that they want more support. They wish that they could have more support from their family, their friends, and their teachers in the general school environment. This is a very telling finding of the mental health survey. And we, as school administrators, all of you as leaders of the school ecosystem, I would appeal to you to come forward and address this in a very serious way. We do prescribe, CBSE affiliation bylaws insist that we should have a counselor in all the schools. May this not be just a perfunctory requirement, please. I do agree that in many cases, we do not find qualified counselors who can be engaged full-time for a school. But we definitely need to identify somebody who can be on a reference basis. And very importantly, is the teachers who can be the first level counselors, the teachers who will need to be sensitized about this. I know it's the teachers also who really sometimes they need help. We are looking into that aspect also, because yes, we keep talking about the children and the thing, but I am not the one to say that no, it's only one way. Is that the teachers also do receive a lot of stress. School managements also are under some kind of stress. It's all not just one way, it's two-way, multiple way street. And we need to come together. But this little bit of sensitization, some kind of orientation about the real reality of the problem is what is needed to be done. So I'm really hopeful that within, through these 2 days of discussions, presentations, and interaction with a lot of experts, all the participants here will be able to come up and will be able to go home, take away ideas and ways and some form plan in their minds on how to implement this in their respective school system. We also are aware of the learning losses due to the pandemic. This is a very sensitive time. Now children have come back to school, no doubt, and you all have experienced that also. It's thank the Almighty above that we've had, you can say, a smooth, rather uninterrupted schooling system from the beginning of this academic year so far. But I'm sure all of you would have seen, those who are parents, we have seen in our children itself, that there is some kind of adjustment problems. There is the burden of that learning loss, which they experience, and most naturally also, they are carrying that over still. So this is a very critical time. Again, I want to emphasize that we need to treat the children, we need to treat the teacher fraternity, the faculty also with a lot of sensitivity, so that the learning loss can be made up not just by simply covering the syllabus, but by ensuring that the core essentials, what a child needs to learn at that stage, is not left out. But there, at the same time, there is no undue pressure that they have to finish this and they have to score this many marks and that kind of competition that is, which we have been seeing before. So I would request the school administrators also to please give attention in this area. And when it comes to the academics and for all the other purposes also, that this be handled in a very sensitive manner. I know that have a long way to go. In fact, this mental health week, this seminar, and then from the MANODARPAN working group team also, we have another national seminar. And particularly on the 14th, we are organizing a special orientation workshop for the SCRTs and for all the school administrators again, to focus on the findings of the National Mental Health Survey of school-going children and the handbook on the early detection of mental health issues. There are flag signs, there are things which teachers themselves, if they are sensitized, if the school administrators themselves are sensitized, then they can take a lot of preemptive steps at the very initial stage. The statistics otherwise, my friends, it's all very worrisome. You know, if you look at the WHO report, if you look at the ICMR reports, the NCRB data, there have been extremes of depression and anxiety cases. There are increasing cases of substance abuse and saddest of all, a lot of suicide cases also at the school-going children level. And apart from that, of course, apart from all the other societal ills. So this is an area of mental health support, psychosocial support is something all of us need to tell ourselves, and we need to act upon this, not just know it, but also act upon it in our own ecosystems, in our respective schools, in our community, in those who are at policy level, we are doing that. Those who are at the implementation level, everybody concerned has to come together on this very important front. So with these words, I would like to wish this two-day conference my very best. I want to thank in advance to all the experts and the speakers who will be coming forward to share their experiences, and especially the practitioners and the teachers, the school administrators. I would like to leave you with these words that ultimately there must be some kind of accountability, some kind of strengthening of the mental health support system in our schools. So with these words, I would like to wish you all the best once again. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now invite Dr. Shekhar Seshadri, former Senior Professor, Department of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at NIMHANS, currently Advisor Samvad, which is an initiative of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, for the keynote address.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be present here in this two-day conference for school administrators. It was wonderful to listen to the preamble that has been presented and now the address of Changsan ma'am as well, who I have had the pleasure to meet in the ministry. Good day to you, friends. Let me start with a fundamental premise and two stories before I get into the substance of this keynote. अक्सर ये सवाल उठाया जाता है, ये प्रश्न पूछा जाता है कि एजुकेशन का उद्देश्य क्या है? What is the purpose of education? And there are many responses to this, all legitimate, whether it's numeracy, literacy on the one hand, or livelihood and career. These are all exceedingly legitimate ideologies as far as education is concerned. But क्या ये कहना सही होगा कि शिक्षा का उद्देश्य, the true purpose of education, is the development of an egalitarian personhood, एक समान अधिकारी व्यक्तित्व का विकास, the development of a socially responsive and responsible citizen, nagrikta, and the development of an identity that is imbued with aesthetic sensibility, art, kala, prakriti, nature, sangeet, rangmanch, but also about relationships and emotions and the emotional world of a child. In this keynote, dear school administrators, my address and appeal to you encompasses this framework. And in order to present this framework to you, which I had the honor of actually developing through a very long phone conversation with Dr. Anjum Sibia. And Anjum, thank you very much for this conversation. You were actually not in India then. But this conversation really put a solid framework, and I would like to acknowledge the fact that you actually took the trouble to jot all this down in the conversation and send it back to me. तो उसी बात को मैं सबके सामने दोहराना चाहता हूँ, but इससे पहले दो कहानियां. A 35-year-old man comes back to school and visits his teacher who's on the verge of retirement and says, teacher, do you remember me? And वो देखती हैं चश्मा वगैरह, no child, I don't remember you, because at the age of 14 he was a cherubic, innocent looking man, a boy, और अब तो दाढ़ी शाड़ी है, टोपी वोपी पहन के आ गया है. But he says, teacher, मैं आपको नहीं भूला हूँ. I have never forgotten you. I don't know whether you remember, I come from an extremely problematic family situation. Now, you know, in the introductory remarks that Changsum ma'am and the commissioner made when the mental health survey was referred to, and all the context in which mental health plays out in the school circumstance. So ye kehta hai, I don't know whether you remember, come from a very problematic home background. Truth be told, I'm not reconciled with my family. I'm not in touch with them. I'm in US now, software doing well. But I don't know what you noticed one day on my face. मेरे चेहरे में क्या शिकन देखी आपने? और मुझे ये भी याद है, you did not do me the indignity of calling me in front of everyone. You know, you quietly called me and said, "Is anything the matter? बड़े गुमसुम लग रहे हो, क्या बात है?" And I told you that this is what happened at home. And it's not that you did anything great. So, which means we're talking about a first level response. Remember what Changsam ma'am said when she referred to red flags. So, what are the red flags to recognize problems that are minor? What are the indicators of severe problem? Do you have a robust referral system? And the whole conundrum of the school counselor. And so it's not that you did anything great, teacher, but you said it must have been so difficult to keep all this within you. मैं खुश हूं कि तुमने मुझे बताया, और आगे भी ऐसी कोई बात हो तो संकोच मत करना, मेरे से जो भी होगा मैं कोशिश करूंगी. And teacher, I have never ever forgotten that act of kindness. 20 साल के बाद आके कहता है, a moment of an interaction, a moment's interaction. Now, dear school administrators, that is the kind of an impact that a teacher can have on the trajectory of a child's life. एक और कहानी सुनिए. निर्भया कांड में जो 17 साल का व्यक्ति जो है, इसके बारे में जो बात हो रही है कि his behavior was the most cruel of the Lord, is that the truth? Now, it has been amply proved that that is not indeed the case. So, the fact that he lived 80 kilometers out of Delhi and had one mentally ill, dysfunctional parent, is that the truth? The fact that he was going to school, had a learning issue, and was punished by the teacher, is that the truth? That he dropped out of school because of that, shifted to Delhi to support his family, working in a roadside eatery, cleaning tables, in regular contact with the family 4 months before the Nirbhaya episode. sending money. Is that the truth? That 4 months before the episode, he was befriended by a group of people who ran this transport business. And somewhere there, the transformation of his thinking took place. Is that the truth? The Juvenile Justice Act has two components: children in need of care and protection and children in conflict with the law. My question to you, dear school administrators, is where was the Juvenile Justice Act when this child was in need of care and protection? Every child in conflict with law was, and continues to be a child in need of care and protection. But that's not the point of my story. The point of my story is the Juvenile Justice Act of this country was changed because a teacher hit a child. If this teacher had not hit the child, he would have never dropped out of school. He would have never shifted to Delhi. Violence may continue to take place in Sabhi Samaj, but iska jo patra tha, wo nahi hota isme. Kanun nahi badalta. This is the importance of a school. The school is the safest place for a child to be in. And the biggest disservice that can be done to a child who is difficult, who is inattentive, who is problematic, is to suspend him from school because you're ensuring that he will be in the company of other school dropouts, and that constitutes the pathway to vulnerability. Hence, the place of school mental health and mental health in schools cannot be overemphasized. Will someone with tech assist me, because there are other voices and images that are coming on my screen? If you can focus, if you can pin me. Thanks very much.
May I request all participants to ensure that their mics are mute, and if they need, they can switch off their cameras.
Thank you very much for that intervention, ma'am. I'm
sorry to intervene and interrupt your very nice words.
Let's then come to this discussion that I had with Anjum Sibia. And let me present this to you because this is very critical. Make mental health and well-being a global priority ki jab hum baat karte hain. I want to bring to your notice another thing. Think global but act local. It is every region, every state education board, every central board. And Anjum has told me कि यहाँ कई commissioners मौजूद हैं, CBSE के लोग भी मौजूद हैं इस सत्र में, inaugural सत्र में. That think global but act local. So if we look at the pandemic as a traction point in human life as far as education is concerned, और pre-pandemic में बच्चों की मनोस्थिति कैसी थी, पैंडेमिक के दौरान क्या हुआ, and do we have additional challenges? So how has the situation changed? Has it changed? Has there been an impact on school education? Now you would know perhaps that the Ministry of Women and Child Development has set up a special task force under the chairmanship of Sanjay Kaul, a former IAS officer, on early childhood education. Now a child who's more or less 1 month old or 6 months old or 1 year old during the even before the pandemic was more or less at home. The 14, 16, 17-year-olds, they manage, phone pay, WhatsApp video, ghar se khisak jana, all that will take place. The 4, 5, 6-year-olds, preschoolers, preschool education ka critical period of brain development, critical period of the foundation of learning. So the construct of mental health is not just anxiety, depression, self-harm, stress, family troubles. Child development is also part of the whole mental health paradigm, especially for preschoolers. So what has it meant for children to be inside the house with limited? So learning is a social experience. Robust context for developmental psychologists to research on what will be the impact of these 2 years of lockdown, preschools being closed, Anganwadis being closed, in their social development and language development across the stages of education. So if you look at the overall impact of the pandemic on school education and learning, on learning and mental health issues, exit exams band ho gayi there. So schools have opened now. So the focus is not just about the learning gap. किस परिस्थिति से ये स्कूल वापस आए Were there difficult circumstances at home? Now, pandemics of the nature of COVID have a disproportionate impact on more vulnerable populations, children who come from vulnerability, daily wage workers, migrant workers. तो जितनी भी स्कूल एजुकेशन बोर्ड्स हैं और पब्लिक स्कूल सिस्टम्स जो है, हमारा गवर्नमेंट स्कूल सिस्टम्स जो है, what are the challenges to recognize pre-existing mental health issues which were exacerbated during COVID, newly emerging this whole concept of intolerance of uncertainty, which is a pan-diagnostic, चाहे वो एंजाइटी हो या डिप्रेशन हो या दूषण को लेके चिंता हो या घर में कैसे चलेगा, loss of job and all that. NEP came bang during the start of the first and through the second wave of the pandemic. And how NEP itself, a very complex document, but some of us have navigated through it in depth. Phenomenal amount of reference, as has been pointed out in the opening address, about mental health and emotional well-being at the policy level. It's in this context that the National Curriculum Framework, under the chairmanship of Professor Kasturi Rangan, and the task forces, the steering committee, which NCERT has actually set up, and the position papers that were submitted on mental health and well-being, would really form our document on the basis of which what should a school do to contribute to what I referred to, the egalitarian personality, about emotional development, intelligence, and about holistic development. तो जहां हम SOPs की बात करते हैं from a mental health perspective, this is about one child where there are red flags, there is a school counselor, there is a teacher who's trained, and you respond to it. The school itself as an ecosystem is built around the notion of the school as a safe space for the child to be in. Let me give you an example. 2022, friends, is the 10th year of POCSO, the Prevention of Child Sexual Offences Act. 2012 was when it was promulgated. Where have we reached as far as POCSO is concerned? अब जैसे स्कूल में एक घटना होती है या कोई बच्चा स्कूल में आके टीचर को डिस्क्लोज करता है कि स्कूल के गेट के बाहर ऐसा हुआ. Now, whether it is an incident that occurred involving someone in the school staff or whether it has occurred outside, the school's position is not it happened outside the school gate through a person who is a thela wala selling whatever stuff there, goodies and candies, so it doesn't involve the school. Now, is that going to be the position of the school administration? So a school needs to have an SOP as far as some of these issues are concerned. And running Samvad as I do, Samvad is a national initiative and integrated resource for child protection, mental health and psychosocial care, located in the Department of Child Psychiatry in MANS and supported by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India. And we work in 4 verticals: in mental health, in care and protection, in policy and law, and in education. And it has been our honor and privilege to work with the ministry, to work with NCERT, to work with education boards like CBSE and other boards, with state boards. And we have done an extensive amount of teacher training in various state boards, Delhi में, Punjab में, Orissa में, और CBSE के साथ भी बात चल रही है, other boards के साथ भी बात चलेगी. मनोदर्पण के साथ हमारा समन्वय और संपर्क जो रहा है, उसके जरिए we have done so many programs focusing on mental health. So SOPs in school, and this is something that as school administrators, one would do well to have standardized SOPs. What about mild disability and concerns? जब हम special education की बात करते हैं, these are not children with severe disability, but high functioning है. Autism हो सकता है या high functioning mild intellectual disability है. तो किस तरीके से do we recognize this? Is there provision through assessment what are their issues of self-esteem, self-worth, identity and personhood. तो हम लोग जब यूनिवर्सल मेंटल हेल्थ इंटरवेंशंस की बात करते हैं, सेंसिटाइजेशन ऑफ ऑल टीचर्स, तो एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होने के नाते जो स्कूल का इकोसिस्टम जो है, वहां हर केवल टीचर्स के लिए नहीं, all staff, including the security guard at the gate, including your office staff, including your cleaning staff. तो हम लोग जब संवेदीकरण, अभिविन्यास और क्षमता निर्माण की बात करते हैं, sensitization, orientation and capacity building, a whole school sensitization, a sensitization of all teachers on basic aspects of the child as an emotional being. बच्चों की मानसिकता जो है, I'm not even talking about disorder here, the universal interventions. So इसमें some of the school teachers or your counselor or your school psychologist will engage in whole school interventions, mandatory for the whole school. जैसे life skills, WHO के 10 life skills जो है, life skills intervention, whether there is a problem or not. And then, so these are universal mental health and well-being interventions, so that students are more responsive, the whole school ecosystem is responsive to. Then there are a group of teachers who are interested in counseling issue, or a school has the provision and the resources for special educators, for psychologists and so on. Then we go into capacity building. And this is the kind of program that an organization like Samvad that I represent would be honored to assist NCERT in strengthening the kind of approaches, so that in every school to recognize the whole imperative of global mental health. और जब हम global की बात करते हैं, it is about the context of vulnerability. वो 40 बच्चे हैं कक्षा में, किस परिस्थिति से वो आते हैं, context matters. We don't know. There is one child, good family, happy family. There's another child, single parent family, another family, severe marital discord. They come with that preoccupation and that reality. It is not obvious when you see them that, but this sense would really go a long way in assisting children and in empowering and strengthening the school as a scaffolding and an embracing environment. So friends, what we expect, और अंजुम जी से इस चीज के बारे में जब चर्चा हो रही थी, तो हमारी कुछ अपेक्षाएं हैं. We have some expectations of the outcome of this confluence of school administrators. So can we have a framework for the administration? And we would be happy to actually work with NCERT, to work with the ministry, to work with education boards, to develop some kind of a framework for school administration. School mental health किस तरीके से होनी चाहिए. So universal, indicated and targeted interventions. Universal, whole school, whole class, life skills. Addressing children's concerns, red flags, how do you address it at a first level response of the teacher? Recognizing severe issues of severe vulnerability. So the school counselor, psychologist, even more severe, who do you refer to in a referral system? So we need some kind of a booklet for the Indian context with strategies, with resources. Or we have tried to develop it over many years, consolidated now in Samvad as part of the website nimhanschildprotect.in. But हम लोग actionables की भी सोच रहे हैं, और अंजुम के साथ इसी बात हमारी चर्चा हो रही थी कि जैसे स्कूल कंसल्टेशन, जब हम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की बात करते हैं, can there be some kind of a school consultation on the mental health issues, the emotional atmosphere of the school as an annual school event, which looks, can there be a weekly meeting of the identified, the school counselor, the psychologist, the admin? Can there be a committee formed in each school that looks at the this program and its implementation? So nobody stacks. It's not that you have to meet every day. You have a calendar that is made out, which looks at a yearly large meeting. You may have a quarterly review meeting. You have a monthly, and all these are, need to be only an hour and a half. That's all. So nobody's taxed, in that sense, because we understand that there are other obligations and responsibilities that the school system has. So this conference of school administrators, I feel, has come at a very critical stage. NEP on the one hand, the NCF on the other hand, जो steering committee और जो task forces जो 20-25 बनी है, जिसमें health, wellness, mental health पे भी एक है, जो position papers हमने submit की हैं, pandemic आया इस दौरान, the survey that was alluded to, this I feel has come at a time where we are, the time is right. The time is full of possibility to really focus on mental health, to recognize what the whole global priority means as it applies to the school as an ecosystem, the school as a global ecosystem. तो वो school जो है, uski globality, ek tarah se, if I may coin a word, or a consortium of schools, or an education board as a global system. तो ये think global but act local वाली बात होती है. तो कुछ ये मेरे विचार थे जो मैं व्यक्त करना चाहता था आप लोगों के सामने. और संवाद का साथ जो है और संपर्क जो है इस दिशा में, you can take that as a granted. We are mandated to do this. I like to take this opportunity to wish the conference all success. Anjum ji ने कहा कि 2000 registrations हैं, इतने consortium से लोग आए हुए हैं. Such a wonderful opportunity. I take this opportunity to send you my regards on this August day, October 10th, where we celebrate, and I hand it over to our gracious host to continue the program. Namaskar or Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for a very enlightening, reflective, and insightful talk. Certainly, as you say, that learning is a social experience. And as we have always said, that the aim of education is holistic development, which certainly should, as its end product, have an egalitarian personality in every person who claims to be educated. And as you have suggested, there are matters that need to be put in black and white to take things forward on the ground level. So we here, as the MANODARPAN cell, would certainly try and put together a framework or SOPs, guidelines that would not just help our school administrators, but any practitioner in the school system, any stakeholder who so wishes to take our efforts of mental health to each child coming to the school and also outside the system. So thank you very much, sir, for giving us very good ideas, for bringing to notice certain aspects for all our participants. And to take things forward, I would now like to request Commissioner KVS, Ms. Nidhi Pandey ma'am, to give her observations and insights. Ma'am.
Good morning. I am Murali, Joint Commissioner from KVS. She had just given me a message that she has some difficulty, unable to join, and therefore she asked me to take part in this, and then
Good morning, sir. A very warm welcome to you. So, sir, if we can have some observations and insights on your behalf. Yes, sir.
Sure. Thank you. What Professor had been saying just prior to this, they were all very insightful. And I am happy to share with you that a few of those items, we are already paying attention to it. And one particular thing, what he said, that the whole school sensitization on the entire aspects of a child as an emotional being, that possibly we would take it up on priority and ensure that we, in a sense, sensitize to varied needs, starting from mild issues to serious issues. Other than that, whatever guidance, whatever suggestions and whatever opportunities that are made available to us, I assure you that we will make use of them and ensure that we serve the cause of development of these young minds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To continue, I would want and request the Joint Commissioner Academics from Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti, Shri Gyanendra Kumar ji, to please share his observations and insights.
Thank you. Sabhi ko namaskar. Honorable Additional Secretary Changsung Ma'am, Sir Srivastav ji, Joint Director NCERT, Professor Anjum Sibia ji, Principal RI Bhopal, other faculty members of NCERT, Joint Commissioner KVS, and the learned audience. On behalf of NVS, first of all, I congratulate NCERT for organizing a wonderful conference for administrators especially, to orient them, sensitize them, create awareness about the mental health issues of students and significant role of schools for promoting mental and emotional well-being. As many of the speakers referred the MEP 2020, the aim of education will not only be the cognitive development, but also building character and creative, holistic, and well-rounded individuals equipped with the 21st century skills. When we say this, the aim of education, that means that the child must have all-round development during the entire tenure of school education. He should be physically fit, mentally alert, emotionally balanced, socially adjusted. Now the question is whether we are providing all sorts of activities to promote this, to achieve this for the holistic development of the child or not. Professor Anjum Sibia ji has mentioned the role of MANODARPAN cell and many functions which this cell is doing wonderfully. I have received a call from NIPA, Dr. Kashyapi Avasthi ji, that she has received a call through that toll-free number from a Navodaya child who is at home and वो स्कूल आने को आतुर है, लेकिन स्कूल ने वो क्लास बुलाया नहीं है और उससे कहा है कि अभी ऑनलाइन क्लास चलेगी, और ऑनलाइन क्लास के लिए वो तैयार नहीं है क्योंकि 2 साल से वो घर बैठा हुआ है. देखिए किस तरह से मनोदर्पण और उसकी टोल फ्री नंबर काम करता है. Immediately then I contacted the concerned regional office and the principal also. There were some infrastructure issues. The timeline was for 2 weeks, but anyhow we have converted this to 2-week timeline to only 3 days by the intervention of regional office and headquarter, and the child was called back with the whole class. So how this MANODARPAN cell and toll-free number is working and assisting us also in diagnosing the problem and assisting the child. इससे एक्सपीरियंस लेके जब मैंने सभी नवोदय में एक सर्वे किया तो पाया कि वो एक स्कूल नहीं था, 6-7 और दूसरे स्कूल्स थे, और हमने प्रशासनिक तौर से कोशिश करके वहाँ ऑनलाइन क्लास को फिजिकल क्लास में कन्वर्ट कराया. So thank you for this initiative of MANODARPAN cell, who is assisting us also as administrator for providing the assistance to the child who are after pandemic, they are in the stress. Professor Srivastav also has mentioned the stress on the children after pandemic. He has stressed the lack of endurance among the children, and I hope that techniques of holding techniques of tackling that mental stress must be as a part of national curriculum framework also, by which that curriculum load is being reduced and having the essential core concept, but also a lot of provision of these techniques, how to make stress-free school environment in the school system. Additional Secretary Madam has also mentioned many things, especially the concept of health, the components she has mentioned: balanced diet, social health, emotional health, and asked us to frame a long-term and systematic change for the conducive environment. She has very rightly said that teacher must be the first level counselor, and I'm happy to listen Professor शेषाद्री जी, जिनको हमेशा सुनकर एक प्रेरणा मिलती है अपने कार्य के निष्पादन के लिए, जिन्होंने दो बातें कही, दो कहानियां जो सुनाई, उसमें एक कहानी थी कि किस तरीके से टीचर को वो बच्चा 20 वर्ष के बाद आने के बाद कहता है कि आपने जो मेरे चेहरे पर शिकन को पहचाना, उससे वो कितना प्रभावित था कि उसका वो एक सेंटेंस आज तक उस बच्चे के दिमाग और मस्तिष्क में है. We must focus on this issue. We must equip our teachers to identify the initial indicators which the child is having with the stress, so that we can have some mechanism in the school system itself. काउंसलर निश्चित रूप से प्रोफेशनल हेल्प वहां से मिलेगी, लेकिन जिस विद्यार्थी के साथ अध्यापक क्लास में है, मेरा रेजिडेंशियल सिस्टम में गेम्स में भी वहां है, डाइनिंग हॉल में भी है, हॉस्टल में भी रात को अटेंडेंस लेना जाता है, वो इक्विप्ड होना चाहिए अर्ली साइन इंडिकेटर्स को पहचानने के लिए. और जो अभी एक मॉड्यूलर बुकलेट मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन ने निकाली है, अर्ली साइन को इंडिकेट करने की, डिटेक्ट करने की. आई हैव गॉन थ्रू दिस बुकलेट. दैट बुकलेट मस्ट बी studied rather than read by all teachers and the administrator, or especially school principals. There are so many case studies in that booklet, और वो बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट हैं स्कूल एजुकेशन के, बच्चों के बिहेवियर के, जो स्कूल्स में होते हैं. अगर हमारा अध्यापक और प्राचार्य अर्ली स्टेज पर उनको डायग्नोज कर पाए, जिसमें ये पुस्तिका बहुत मदद करेगी, ऐसा मैं मानता हूं. हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं अपने नवोदय के स्कूल सिस्टम में कि वो हर टीचर तक पहुंचे और उसका एक ट्रेनिंग मॉड्यूल भी बने, उसमें प्रोविजन भी है, जिससे कि हमारे शिक्षक एम्पावर्ड हो बच्चे की थोड़ी सी भी शिकन को जानने के लिए, जो प्रोफेसर शेषाद्री जी ने जिसका संकेत दिया. 3-4 बातें बहुत अच्छी शेषाद्री साहब की थी. स्कूल इज द सेफेस्ट, मस्ट बी द सेफेस्ट प्लेस फॉर द चाइल्ड. Think global but act as a local. Learning is a social experience. और मुझे आशा ही नहीं विश्वास है कि इस 2 दिन की कॉन्फ्रेंस के माध्यम से इसका एक आउटपुट ऐसा निकलेगा कि हम जो स्कूल प्रशासन में हैं, प्राचार्य हैं, प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, वो एक मैकेनिज्म डेवलप कर पाए. होल स्कूल सिस्टम, जिसकी बात प्रोफेसर साहब ने कही थी कि स्कूल पूरे सिस्टम में कंडूसिव लर्निंग एनवायरनमेंट हो और स्कूल हमारे सबसे सुरक्षित स्थल में परिवर्तित हो. इसी आशा के साथ सभी स्पीकर्स को धन्यवाद देते हुए, जिनसे हमने जहां इस सेशन में बहुत कुछ सीखा है, और हम कोशिश करेंगे कि नवोदय विद्यालय समिति में इन बातों को लागू करने का पूरा प्रयास करें, और इस 2 दिन की वर्कशॉप के बाद जो कुछ इसका आउटपुट निकलेगा उसको सिस्टमेटिक तरीके से होल स्कूल अप्रोच के साथ हम अपने सिस्टम में लागू करेंगे. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Sushmita Chakravarti to please propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla. To just quickly extend our sincere vote of thanks, to begin with, for our principal, RI Bhopal, Professor Jaideep Mandal, to extend a warm welcome to all our eminent persons in the inaugural session, as well as the speakers and chairs and the large number of participants in the conference. And of course, to our own Professor Anjum Sibia, in charge of MANODARPAN cells, for giving a very quick, brief, but very clear-cut idea about the MANODARPAN and the various activities under it and the focus of this 2 days conference. And of course, followed by to our JD NCERT Professor Sridhar Srivastav for gracefully but poignantly pointing out the core need and the significance of this theme of mental health and its place in learning ecosystem. A very heartfelt thanks to Changson Madam, Additional Secretary, Institutions of the Department of School Education and Literacy, for placing the entire mental health issues in today's conference, and your guiding and inspiring words will stay with us. And the way you have briefed about what is the outcome from here for all of us, as well as our participants as school administrators, will really guide us through these 2 days of the conference. Not to miss our the wonderful, insightful, and reflective, but and yet motivating, encouraging words of Dr. Shekhar Shishadri, former senior professor of the Department of the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry in NIMHANS and advisor to the Samvad initiative. Your words has further ignited, I'm sure, all our participants to ensure that we make the school system as a safe place for each and every child, and also as administrators, as teachers, as principals, vice principals, we see the role that we play in the school system, not just taking away from the school conference of these 2 days, but also when we function in the schools in our everyday practice. So thank you, all of you. And of course, to the representative of Nidhi Pandey Madam, Commissioner Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan and Joint Commissioner Academics, Gyanendra Sir, for giving your insightful and experiences which are further warming up for our for our participants. And as we end our inaugural session, I extend my warm vote of thanks to all the participants, to RI Bhopal, to Dr. Saurav Kumar for arranging and bringing in all the, making all the efforts to bring in so many large number of participants. And of course, to our MANODARPAN cell and CIET for arranging it at not only at the Zoom level, but also making it possible to make it a live streaming program. Thank you and wish you all the best for these 2 days. Thank you once again. Jai Hind.